Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a really exciting unboxing video. In front of us are a few knives in my collection that I absolutely adore. Namely, I'll start out with the Zero Tolerance 0392 series. Now this is the brown gold edition. This was my first venture into the quote-unquote high-end knife market where you spend money to get a high-quality product. I was blown away by the quality of the Zero Tolerance factory custom line. They really went all out on these knives, and I was super impressed. The solidity, the quality, the beauty is all there, and the thought that went into making these knives, it was just all there, and so I was super impressed. So impressed that I bought a couple of those knives. You can see all those videos on my channels. I bought a bunch of 0392s and I showed them to you guys, and most recently I had the full DLC, the 0392 BLK, and I had it customized to look like this by my friend Josh over at Razor Edge Knives with this amazing hollow grind and mirror polished finish, the satin finish on the blade and the well-worn look on the handles here. I absolutely love it with the copper accents that just show that wear and tear. It just looks nice, and it's definitely a user now. I've also really enjoyed owning the Microtech and Borka Blade Stitch. The all DLC version here is so badass looking. I just released the final diagnosis on this yesterday. Such an awesome knife, and it's really kind of opened my eyes to how cool an all DLC knife can be. I used to kind of hate on DLC. I still don't really prefer to have a DLC coated blade if I can help it, but I've learned that having that DLC coating can be a little bit more subtle. It's still a dark blade, it's not showing any reflection, and sometimes if you cover the knife up a little bit more, people won't see it like they'll see the sheen of an all satin blade. So I've learned to appreciate that a little bit, and that has influenced the purchase of this knife that I'm going to show you today. And of course, I've been going with the blackened theme recently. This is my most recent acquisition, the Robert Carter and Nick Chuprin BBM with the blackened titanium handles. I just like how subtle black can be and how dressy it can be if you want it to be. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring out the box. Now this was kind of surprising to me. When this knife was originally released in the United States, it came in the big factory custom box like the 0392s did. But it also had a very different color scheme. This is the international release 0606 BLK. If you guys recall, the original 0606 was in blue and gold anodization. This one, however, comes in all black. So this comes with a standard ZT box, all the things you come to know and love from a standard ZT edition, but this is in fact a factory custom knife. And just look at it. So we've got the original shape and form of the 0606, but this time in all black DLC. And I think it just totally changes the character of the knife in such a wonderful way. The original knife was really flashy. A lot of people said it was gaudy. It really looked like it belonged on some kind of, I don't know, like king's waistband rather than some user out there. And it just meant that people put them in their safes and they never used it because it was just too pretty. The clip was all gold and blue, and it just wasn't really amenable to a user sort of purpose. And for that reason, I actually made the final diagnosis that it was really function following form, and it was a pretty knife more so than it was a user knife. But the overall pieces were all there. The ergonomics, the design, the blade shape, the steel. It was all there for the makings for a great knife. And I wish that they had done multiple versions, but so far they've only done two. And this was the second version, and this one was only available internationally. This one was not released in the United States. This was released over in Europe and Asia and Russia over there. They had different dealers had these in stock briefly, and it cost even more because things just usually cost more over in Europe. And then to import it to the United States on top of that premium, these knives cost somewhere around $800 to the average American citizen who wanted to pick one of these up. I managed to get this for around $650, and so I'm okay with paying that because it's still in perfect condition. I can tell that the previous owner didn't do much with this. There's no marks or wear on it, and the action was still pretty stiff, and I think it's going to loosen up nicely over time as I wear it in. So super thankful to get this in my hands. let's go ahead and break this knife down a little bit so we understand what we're looking at. Right up front, we've got a 4-inch blade of CTS-XHP steel, one of my absolute favorite steels. I really love the way it performs. It takes a nice edge and it's very corrosion resistant. I like it a lot. Sure, it's not M390, it's not 204P, which is everyone's favorite steels, but you know, XHP is nothing to turn your nose up at. And they did a beautiful job grinding this thing. It is incredibly sharp. It's got a very nice finish. There will be no reason to put a new edge on this for quite a long time. I also think that the harpoon blade on this one is really, really beautiful. It may be even more attractive than the 0392's harpoon blade. I really like this design a whole lot, but this one just seems to be better proportioned a little bit with the rest of the design of the knife, and I really like that. So happy to see that. Let's move back to the most important component on this knife, and that is the pivotless pivot. So this knife is designed by R.J. Martin. He's a well-known custom knife maker. He's got some beautiful, beautiful designs out there. But he and his son worked together to make a pivot called the pivotless pivot. And Matt Martin actually produces this, and his dad uses it in his knives. And so they actually had to purchase this from the Martin family to include it into these knives. And it's a very, very awesome thing. That's what makes it a factory custom, that you have a custom piece of hardware in a factory-produced knife. So super cool. The zero tolerance, the 0392s had factory hardware from Hinderer here that were all anodized. But the handles are made by Zero Tolerance, and so are some of these design elements. So what I really enjoyed about the handles were the design was really nice in theory, but I really think it was mucked up by that blue and gold, because now you can see the actual work for what it is. A really beautifully milled piece of titanium with some intricate millwork, and then they've included this carbon fiber insert. This looks like a marbled type of carbon fiber, or at least it's milled through carbon fiber at an interesting angle, so it throws a bunch of sort of non-uniform patterns going on there. It's really nice. I think it looks great, and I'm super, super happy to have this in my hand. Now, in addition, the back spacer was done in carbon fiber with this sort of spine-like appearance. It's actually a floating back spacer, so another sort of hollowed out component of this knife that's just that extra bit of special. And this one looks just so sweet with that carbon fiber insert and the all black look. These inserts were really, and the backspacer, they were really lost on the blue and gold edition because it was just black in the middle of a sea of color. But here in the all black edition, I think it just ties it together nicely. The pocket clip is also done in all DLC, so also very subtle for carry. The pocket clip, I recall, was okay for carry. I'll have to get used to it again. It's got a bit of a hot spot right there on the tip, so I will have to think about that. But it will be used, and I am happy to have it be a little bit more subtle. The other one was just bright gold on there, and it was just so loud, and it brought a lot of attention. So let's bring another couple of knives out here for a quick size comparison. I have a Benchmade 710, the big knife here. It's also a 4-inch blade. This one belongs to my good buddy Nico. He's advertising for himself there with today's Grail _ tomorrow's beater. Here's another blackened knife with a little carbon fiber insert, a Moen and Millet Max Evolution. That's a pretty neat knife right there. Let's go ahead and bring out another one of my big knives here, the Borka Blade Stitch. I had this out earlier, but notice how much bigger the ZT is than the Borka Blade Stitch. I know that my perspective here kind of messes it all up, but the Borka finishes here, and there's definitely some more size on the ZT right there. I'll go ahead and bring out my pair of 0392s so you can see what that size is. So the 0392 is a super nice size for me in my hand. This is a bit bigger right here, but it's just beautifully integrated into that handle. I really could not be happier. I'm going to bring out my recent acquisition, the BBM super tiny knife right here in comparison. Totally different in character. I've got my Gavco Trasher right here, super awesome knife. I just love bringing these things out and showing them to you guys. So super thankful to have this knife in my collection right now. Super, super happy to be able to show it off to you guys. And I'm going to be making a lot more videos with it, so stay tuned for those. I appreciate the guy that I bought this from selling it at such a good price. Go ahead and click like and subscribe to my channel. Check me out on Instagram at Dr. Frunkey, where you'll see pictures of this. And as always, take care.